All right, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We are live. All right, you take it over.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday, teaching with Protect Your Legacy. Today, we'll be talking about cybersecurity and cryptocurrency. As you know, my name is Farah Joseph. I am your host, and I am the Chief Operating Officer of Level 3 MD. And with me, I have the
I am
CEO.
Wilson Joseph, your CEO of Level 3 MD.
Yes. And as you know, Wilson is a seasoned professional in IT and cybersecurity. And what we have today, we have a professional, a great speaker, an expert in cryptocurrency. So, as promised, the title for today is What You Need to Know About Cryptocurrencies and How You Can Protect Yourself. So, our speaker for today is Mrs. Danie Sincere. She is a skilled professional in blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, cybersecurity, and financial crime investigation. In addition to her current experience in cybersecurity and financial crime investigations, Mrs. Sincere has over 15 years of global professional experience providing multinational entities, high net worth individuals, executive leaders, corporate boards, and audit committees with high value solutions to their most complex accounting, tax, compliance, and financial reporting issues. Mrs. Sincere is a certified public accountant, certified fraud examiner, certified cryptocurrency investigator, and ICS2 certified in cybersecurity. She also served on the 2022 Public Private Analytic Exchange Program, Department of Homeland Security Office of Intelligence and Analysis on the topic of combating illicit activity utilizing financial technologies and cryptocurrencies. Her research committee produced analytical products, including a white paper, cryptocurrency pamphlet, NFT brochure, and presentation to benefit both the private sector and public sector to combat emerging fraud in the growing space of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and fintech. So, with us today, we have Mrs. Danie Sincere. Hello, Danie. How are you today?
Hi, good afternoon, Wilson and Farah. Thank you for the invitation in the warm welcome. I'm happy to be here to talk about a very important subject, something that is very important and in emerging technology that I think all of us should know at least a little bit about, whether we decide to use cryptocurrency for investment purposes or if we decide as a business owner to accept it as a payment.
Perfect. So we are happy and eager to learn more about crypto today. So I'm very much I'm excited. And I hope our viewers, whoever's listening, will learn a lot because she's an expert at what she does. Listen to the high profile. And I like really, for a woman, I'm impressed and kudos to you. I'm so happy to share this platform with you today.
Thank
So
you.
with that all, I have to say that we are not giving legal or financial advice. So if you need guidance, please consult with a professional in those industries. Okay, so Danny, to start, what are the key concepts of cryptocurrencies?
Well, before I decide to talk about the key concept, I thought it would be very helpful to talk about the reason why cryptocurrency was created and what are some of the problem it was created to solve. Cryptocurrency was actually created to solve some of the problem that exists in the traditional financial system, in particular with online payments, and also provide users with more control over their funds without a central authority. Let's think for a moment when you actually use cash to make a payment. So, assuming that I go to the store and I don't use credit card, I'm probably using cash for the most part. I typically will hand over the physical representation of value, which in this case is cash. I have ownership of that cash because I have them in my hands. And once I transfer ownership of cash to the business owner, I cannot give that cash to someone else. Well, let's think a little bit how that works in the online space. So assuming that I hired level 3 MD to provide professional services for my company. And in essence, once that service is completed, I get an invoice and I want to make payment and I want to use credit card. Some of the issues that come with credit card payments online is whether or not I can prove that I am who I say I am. I think that's an issue that's very apparent with all kinds of cybersecurity risks, but it's very apparent when it comes to online payments. How do I prove that this digital representation of value is really mine? Did I steal that credit card? Does it really belong to me? And the other issue that also results with online payment is whether or not that same digital representation of value can be used over and over again. So that actually is called the double spending problem. Before that payment is settled, there's a possibility that I can use that credit card. If I said I had $10,000 in my account, I can use it at level 3 MD. I can use it at XYZ company. And once your company decides to settle that fund, they may not even be able to get their $10,000. And then the other problem that I think a lot of people have, which they still have today, they want to have more control over their funds. They don't want some government entity to tell them what to do. They don't want people to tell them how much money they can spend in one day versus another day. So this idea of centralization that we have within our traditional financial system was a problem for a lot of people. So cryptocurrency was actually created not too long ago, just 15 years ago, by someone who we don't even know who that their real identity is, because they actually created a paper. It's called Bitcoin. And this person was named Satoshi Nakamoto. And he created Bitcoin as the first decentralized financial cryptocurrency in order to be transparent, provide privacy, and secure transactions. Well, now that we've actually established the history behind cryptocurrency, we want to talk about the key concepts in cryptocurrency. Unlike fiat currency, where we have money either in a bank account or we have cash, fiat currency would be something like the US dollar, the British pound. And the key features with fiat currency is the fact that they are controlled, issued, and backed by a central bank or a government. So, for example, in the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank controls the supply of money. So, this is where we talk about the centralization that exists with fiat currency. Cryptocurrency, on the other hand, is decentralized. So, with cryptocurrency, I don't need a bank. I don't need an intermediary to allow me to send money. So if I receive services from level 3 MD and I wanted to pay you with Bitcoin, I don't need a bank to actually settle my funds. I can use my Bitcoin account and send money or Bitcoin in that respect directly to level 3 MD without the help of anyone. The other key features with cryptocurrency, most businesses are probably accustomed to what we call a ledger system. Most businesses use the ledger in order to track their payments, they track their expenses, they track their debits and credits. Cryptocurrencies are actually created through a process called mining. And the mining process helps cryptocurrency to remain secure and to confirm all the transaction on a distributed ledger called the blockchain. The other key features that I think is going to be important when we talk about security is the fact that cryptocurrency uses public key cryptography. It's an asymmetric encryption that uses pairs of related keys and are also represented by a cryptographic string of alphanumeric characters. When we talk about cryptocurrencies, unlike fiat money where you can actually touch it, you cannot touch cryptocurrency. It has no physical form. Cryptocurrency only exists as records of transactions to a form and address, which is the public key. So I want to make that distinction. So we have two key pair. We have a public key and then we have a private key. So if I actually look at this illustration, because I thought it would make a lot more sense if I use something that we're accustomed to. So in our traditional financial system, most of us use a check. We've either received a check or we've made a payment with a check. So it might make more sense for me to talk about these key concepts by taking the check. So take this check, for example. At the very top of the check is a check number. The check number is typically used if you want to search for your check, you want to search for that transaction, or if you call your bank and you want to know more about this payment, you can give them the actual check number and they can look for it. So in the cryptocurrency world, we don't use check number, but we use what we call transaction hash. The transaction hash is used to identify every single cryptocurrency transaction. The other important aspect, each check has a date. The date that I actually wrote that check will be listed on there. With cryptocurrency transaction, you actually have the date and the time spent when that transaction was actually completed. So it actually gives you the timestamp up to the second. So assuming that I created a transaction at 7 o'clock, 11 p.m. and 9 seconds, it will give you all that data. The other important aspect is the dollar amount. So when I write a check, I typically write how much money that I want to pay. So assuming that the services that I obtained from Level 3 MD came to $10,000. In my check, I would write $10,000 in both numeric form and in alphabetical form. In cryptocurrency world, it gives you both the Bitcoin equivalent of that fund, but it also gives you the amount in either US dollar or whatever currency that you're using in your country. And one thing I want to say is Bitcoin is very expensive. So you can actually send someone a fraction of a Bitcoin or a whole Bitcoin. The other component that are very, very important to security is the wallet. We talked about the wallet is basically used to store both the public key and the private key. In a check format, the wallet would be your routing number, right? So your routing number can have multiple bank accounts. And then the other important aspect is the public key. The public key is almost like your bank account number, right? So if I have a bank and assuming in your invoice, you provided your bank account number, I would go to my bank and use my bank account number to send funds to Level 3 MD. And even though Level 3 MD gave me their account number, I do not have any control over their funds. So I cannot go into their account and send money to somebody. I can send them money, but I cannot get money from their account. In the same way, if I have access to your public key, it's shareable. I cannot send Bitcoin to anybody with just my public key. But what is very important is the private key. The private key is basically used to authenticate that I have the right to the funds in the account or the Bitcoin. So if I want to send someone Bitcoin, I will need to know their public key. I will use my private key to authenticate the Bitcoin in my wallet and then send them the Bitcoin. And then in the very back, we have the signature. So when Level 3 MD receives this check, they will then go to their bank and deposit the check, and they will endorse it, add their account number. And this is what will be used to deposit the funds in their account. So in the same fashion, if I wanted to use Bitcoin to pay Level 3 MD, I would use their public key to send them the Bitcoin. Does that make sense? A little bit more?
Yes, a little bit more. Well, one thing I'm getting from it is it's pretty safe, right?
It is pretty safe. And I think that was one of the key features that Satoshi Nakamoto was trying to get to, is to secure those transactions. And one thing you will notice, if you want to pull up the check, again, is privacy. One of the key features with cryptocurrency is the fact that it provides privacy. Unlike a check, which will have my name, address listed at the very top left corner, and then the payment will be made to Level 3 MD. With cryptocurrency, your name will not be listed, my name will not be listed. So it provides privacy and security. And that's one of the key features and one of the problem that cryptocurrency was designed to solve.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Did not know that. So that's why people are starting to use cryptocurrency so much. We just have to trust the system now.
Absolutely. It's definitely one of the reasons why I think, from my research, I think they mentioned that about 1/3 of small businesses are starting to contemplate using cryptocurrency. Some of them have begun using cryptocurrency, because their customers are looking for secure transactions.
Yeah.
They're looking for privacy. Because think about it, when you are using your credit card, a lot of news came out recently where major retail companies had breaches in their system.
Right.
And all that data, my name, all the transactions that I conducted, well, guess what? They were stolen by hackers. This is
Mhm.
one of the issues that you will not deal with cryptocurrency because it doesn't have my name. It doesn't have any of my private information. So, in some sense, cryptocurrency will provide some sense of privacy and security to people who are afraid with identity theft, right? So, that's one of the very advantages of using cryptocurrency.
Perfect. Did you have a question, Wilson?
Oh yeah, great information, Danie. Thank you so much. I guess one of the questions that I have, since you mentioned the blockchain technology, what are some of the security features that inherently to the blockchain technology that makes it reliable to transact?
Mommy, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Blockchain is actually being utilized not just by cryptocurrency users, it's actually being beneficial to a lot of different sectors. Um, I've actually heard recently that even doctors' offices are using blockchain technology to store patient information, and law firms are using it to store their clients' information because it has some key security features that provide privacy and security. In essence, a blockchain can be defined as a distributed database or ledger system, and it's shared between different computer users. The data in a blockchain is structured into what we call blocks, and they're connected together by a cryptographic chain. Earlier, we talked about cryptographic encryption. So, cryptography is used to encrypt data. For example, in respect to an email, for example, if I wanted to send an email with private information to level 3 MD, I can use cryptography to lock the message so that if it gets intercepted, no one will see that information. I will use a public key to encrypt the data, and then level 3 MD will use their private key to unlock the information. So the fact that it uses cryptography provides some level of security. Also, when a transaction or bundle of transactions is added to the blockchain, the block is then validated and agreed upon by a consensus mechanism that is called proof of work. That consensus mechanism involves the collective participation of some of the members. So just not one person can go and change that information. And that's why cryptocurrency transactions are typically permanent and irreversible, because not just one person can go back, but it provides integrity, which is one of the key features of cybersecurity, right? It provides security, it provides integrity, because no one can go back and change that transaction. And it uses what we call hashing, and it also uses a lot of computing power. There are a lot of people who actually use this type of work to gain to be compensated, and they're called miners. So these miners, they solve very complicated mathematical I don't know what was it, mathematical problems in order to actually confirm and make sure that those transactions are secure. So that's why the blockchain is considered a very secure technology. That is not just used for cryptocurrency, as I mentioned, it's also being used by other sectors to either secure patient data, secure client data, and even by banks to actually secure their clients' information.
That is very interesting. So yeah, I hear private key, public key. So basically, I have my own private key. You use your public key to send money. Then I use my own private key, like my signature, I guess, instead
Mhm.
of signing something to receive the fund. Or okay. So what tools and techniques can people use to maintain anonymity and protect their transaction history?
Well, I think inherently cryptocurrency provide security, as we mentioned, with the blockchain. There are different type of cryptocurrency. Actually, there are 1,000 types of cryptocurrency. Bitcoin happened to be the most popular one that we know of, and it was the first one that was created. But there are certain types of tokens that are called privacy tokens. They are used quite a lot, and they provide a lot more privacy than Bitcoin. But I think inherently, the blockchain provide a lot of security. But one thing that I would mention, there are different ways that I can obtain cryptocurrency. I can use an exchange, and that exchange will allow me to use my fiat money. So, for example, I can use my US dollar and convert it to cryptocurrency.
Right.
I can also go to an ATM and put cash in that ATM in exchange for cryptocurrency or send cryptocurrency to an address. And then if I am a business owner, I may decide that I want to receive my payment in cryptocurrency. There are certain security measures that you need to take if you are using an exchange. And I think those security measures are not that different than, let's say, someone who is using a bank, right? We know that when you are using your bank, most of the time it's recommended that you use multi-factor authentication, right? Because you want to have a combination of either a password and a token, which is something you have versus something what you are. No, not that one. It's something you have and something you are would be the combination of a password and biometric fingerprint, right? But then there are other combinations that are always recommended with multi-factor authentication that are recommended if you are using your bank, if you are using an exchange, and it provides a lot more security. And I think Wilson probably knows a little bit more about some of these other ways that you can set up multi-factor authentication, but those are some of the recommended measures that you can take to ensure that you are securely using cryptocurrency.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. When it comes to multi-factor, it's always going to be something which is your password and your username, something you are, which is going to be some sort of biometrics like your uh, fingerprints or your eyes, retina, things of that nature, some sort of biometric, and something you have. Typically, that's going to be your cell phone, where you can either receive a text message or you have a software-based token where you can actually get a code to provide the second factor.
Right.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on a little bit. I'm curious to know. I know there are some different types of wallets, right? I'm thinking they are what I call a hardware wallet, software wallet, and also you might have some form of paper. Is that correct?
That is correct. And before I go over that, I will talk a little bit about what a wallet is. So most of us have wallets, right? We use our wallets to put cash, and we also use it to hold our credit cards. Well, a Bitcoin wallet works in somewhat the same way. A cryptocurrency wallet is a device or either a software program that stores your cryptocurrency keys and allows you to access your crypto. So, as we talked about earlier, due to the fact that cryptocurrency uses cryptographic encryption, which has a key pair, a public key and a private key. We know that the public key is something that you can share. The private key is something that you want to keep private because whoever has access to your private key has access to your Bitcoin. And therefore, the wallet is used to actually store those two items, your private key and your public key. Wallets typically contain the address, right? The public key and a private key. Private key is used to sign your cryptocurrency transactions. And there are different types of wallets. Each have their own features and their own levels of security. But for today's purposes, I think I want to highlight two things. You can have a hot wallet or you can have a cold wallet. A hot wallet is either a software or any types of um, programs that allows you to store your key pairs on a device that is connected to the internet. And that's the key thing. Hot wallet are connected to the internet. Cold wallet are not connected to the internet. And a cold wallet could be either a USB disk or it could be a paper that has a QR code. And I think what's very important about that is that cold wallets are less susceptible to hacking. And the reason for that is because they're not connected to the internet. So as a result, if you're thinking about security, although you still want to have security with your cold wallet, because if someone gain access to the physical hardware and it's not password protected or it doesn't have multi-factor authentication, it does provide some level of security risk. But with hot wallet, I think the security risk is not only the fact that it can be stolen, but the fact that it's connected to the internet, it can be hacked. So I think those are the key concerns that we have when we're deciding how do we want to store our keys. Do we want to use a hot wallet or do we want to use a cold wallet?
When I hear this, what I hear is, do I use paper document or do I use online transfer?
That is
So,
correct.
you know, both of them, you are at risk. So it's like, how do you protect yourself from all those? And which one do you choose? I'm guessing each one has its purpose. At one point, I will start to use cryptocurrency because I feel like that's where we are leading.
Mhm.
So, and then, as you were talking, I'm like remembering movies that I've watched when they started talking about blockchain, those mathematical numbers where hackers are trying to break into it and trying to calculate, find them, all those things. I'm like visualizing it as you are talking. And it's fascinating, and it's here. It's our world now, and we have to embrace it, right?
Absolutely. And as I mentioned, I think a large percentage of small businesses and even large businesses are using cryptocurrency. If they're not using cryptocurrency, they're probably using the blockchain technology. So one
Okay.
way or the other, we are going to embrace. As a matter of fact, I believe there is a lot of experts that are predicting that cryptocurrency can be a disruptor to the traditional financial system. And I want to highlight that because there has been a few disruptors that we are more aware of, right? Most of us used to take a taxi back in the day.
Mhm.
Um, there are probably not a lot of taxis around anymore. I actually
Correct.
know family members who lost a lot of money because they didn't sell their taxi on time. Because
Yeah.
why? Uber and Lyft disrupted the taxi industry. And now
Correct.
most people are using more Uber and Lyft. And there's probably just a few taxi around. And if you had a taxi, the value is not the same as it used to.
Mhm.
So these are disruptors. Another big one that I can think of, when I was a teenager, there was a lot of Blockbuster. I think there was one in every corner that
Yeah,
I can think
that's
of.
true.
But Blockbuster went out of business. Why?
Yeah.
Streaming media such as Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, well, they took over. There's no more Blockbuster. So if you think about it, if there is a prediction that cryptocurrency can be a disruptor as a business owner, as a consumer, it makes sense that we at least begin to understand the various aspects of cryptocurrency and how we can use it in a secure manner.
Yeah.
It's more
Yeah.
to bring awareness. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, and Danny, being the security guy, since you're talking about in the secure manner, right?
Mhm.
I don't think we touch a little bit. I would like to touch a little bit on how we can secure these types of wallets, right? So,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, what's your take on that? I don't mind answer some of that questions as well.
Mhm.
Maybe we can do you answer some of it, I answer some of it. what's your take on the actual security aspects of the wallet?
Well, I'll take a little bit on it, and I think you can speak more about that because you do a lot more cybersecurity consulting than I do. I think I do some of it, but a lot more of my work is around cryptocurrency. And I've had my share of, cryptocurrency theft, people who lost their investments.
Mm.
So one thing that I want to touch upon is cryptocurrency security hygiene. That's very important. I think one of the main thing that I want to highlight is to use multi-factor authentication. I cannot highlight that enough. It's using multi-factor authentication, whether it's a hot wallet, whether it's a cold wallet, is going to provide you with a lot of security, right? So if you think about the cold wallet, I mean, you talked about paper, in terms of money, if I have my ATM card, for example, and then I write my PIN number on a piece of paper and I put both of them in my wallet. If someone gets a hold of my wallet, well, guess what? They can take all the money from my account. And I think it's the same thing when you think about a cold wallet, although it's not connected to the internet. But if someone gets a hold of it, even if it has one password, right, a simple password, they can use brute force attack and crack the password. So that's not secure. There are different ways that they can still gain access to my password. And if it's not even password protected, well, guess what? I'm just handing over my ATM and my password to somebody. But if you're using a hot wallet, we know that there's hack attack all the time, and we all at risk. So you definitely want to make sure you do use multi-factor authentication to store your hot wallet. Also safeguarding your password, right? Do not repeat them. Do not share them with anyone. I mean, those are just basic, but believe it or not, people share their password. Also maintaining your own private key for your digital wallet. And it's preferable, as I said, to use a cold wallet because it's not connected to the internet, but make sure it is still secure, because security doesn't just apply to the internet, it applies to all aspects of our lives. And just like I want to lock my door, I also want to do that with everything in my life, is to keep it secure. The other thing that is important to understand, there's a lot of phishing attacks. And most of the time, phishing attacks come in a form of an email with a link. Do not click on any link. I mean, I cannot say that enough. Don't click on any link. If you get an email asking you to, let's say you have an exchange, that's where you have your account, and it's asking you to, click on this link and change something. Well, guess what? Call the bank, call the exchange, confirm that there was actually a need to make a change. Don't just click on a link, because you may be attracting some kind of malware on your computer or your phone. And that's all you need to do to actually put yourself at a security risk. What else I can say? Don't use any public internet when you go to a hotel. When you go, I've seen a lot of people do that. I mean, back in the day, I did that myself. So I'm not gonna
I'm guilty.
I went to the airport and I logged into my bank account. That was a big security risk. But I didn't know any better. I know better now. But these are some of the security measures that you want to take in general to protect yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And also, let me just touch on that one, because if you're gonna use any public Wi-Fi, make sure you have a private VPN. That's one of the solutions we provide for our clients that makes you invisible into the public network, where you can conduct your business, because we do travel as professionals. We in hotels or airports all the time. But if you need to use it, make sure you have a private VPN that you can use as well.
Exactly. And even at home, I think even at home, people have mentioned that it's good to use a VPN because it provides another level of security. If you can afford it, do so, because there's never enough security. If you can secure your transactions, if you're using, if you have private information on there, people could be, eavesdropping just by driving by your home. So these are all security measures that you want to take whether you are at home or in a public space.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely living in the world now that, it's not a matter of like when, if I get hacked one day, it's when will I get hacked? So
That's
we each need to educate ourselves, just like we are bringing awareness today about cryptocurrency with Mrs. Nasir. So we need to educate ourselves to understand, where are we going? Where is the world leading us? We need to advance with here. We are here. We are in the here. So let's move with this new era and then learn with whatever we are providing you today so we can conduct business, as usual.
exactly.
Any Ponzi schemes or things that happen like fake ICOs that happens with crypto? How do we protect ourselves?
That's a very good question. And I think before I talk about that, I wanted to at least give a little bit of background on Ponzi scheme, because I think people sometimes don't. I mean, recently, actually, I heard on the news about a lot of Ponzi scheme involving cryptocurrency, which was very unfortunate because they took advantage of people within my own community um, who probably put their trust in them. And the
Mm-hmm.
sad part, I actually followed up with a news segment where people were talking about, some of the victims came on and talk about their experience, is the fact that people took their home equity, they took their retirement. I mean,
Right.
come on. They took their retirement and invested in these schemes and lost
Wow.
everything. You know, before I talk about that, I wanted to at least give some definition into each of these terms. So, what is an ICO? So, an ICO is an initial coin offering. So, another way, we talked about Bitcoin being one of the type of cryptocurrency. So, there are thousands out there, meaning that if I decided that I wanted to create a new coin and gain people to invest in that coin, I can do what they call an initial coin offering. So I gather a bunch of people and then I talk about the benefits of investing into my coin. But what happens is that some of them are fake, some of them are scammers. And what they do is they gain all these people, they advertise about the coin. And then once they get their money, they run and you have no idea where they went. So a lot of people have been victims of that. The other thing is Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is a financial fraud that's usually disguised as a sophisticated investment opportunity. And one of the things about Ponzi scheme is that these people usually promise a lot of great return. You're going to get 20% of return every week. Um, if it sounds too good to be true, more likely than not, it is.
Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
this much: investments are typically risky, they are unpredictable. If someone is guaranteeing you that you are going to make a return every week,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably not true because
Yeah.
no one can predict the market. I mean, not even the government can predict the market. Inflation can happen, the market can crash next week. We cannot predict that you will get a fixed amount of return, especially such a high return, 20%. Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds too good to be true. Another one that I think is key for people to know is cryptojacking. It's a very new form um, of fraud. Well, not so much fraud, but malicious act that happened with crypto. This is when someone gain access to your system and uses it to mine crypto. And it's unfortunate because what happens is mining takes a lot of energy. So if I have my computer and someone gains access to the computing power of my computer, they're burning a lot of my energy. So it doesn't help me, right? It's only gonna hurt me in the end because my electric bill will be very high.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have been victims of that. So I say that it's important. I think some of the measures that you've talked about, make sure you are patching your computer. With cryptojacking, this is one way to protect yourself. Make sure you're protecting the endpoint of your computers. All of these security measures that you've probably mentioned in some of your sessions in the past are very true for cryptocurrency. And with Ponzi scheme, I actually had a list of, you know, what would I say, advices that I wanted to at least pass on to people in case they wanted to invest in cryptocurrency. What are some of the things that you want to do to avoid Ponzi scheme? So know that as with any investment, it is very important to understand exactly what you are investing in. Don't do it blindly. Talk to someone. If you are someone who doesn't speak English or doesn't have a lot of knowledge, hire someone who understands it, or at least speak to your children. I've seen a lot of elderly who become victims because they didn't speak to their children about it, right? Someone told them to invest. They went and took their money, invested it, and they lost it all. Um, Also, never invest more money than you're willing to lose, because know that investments are risky. You can lose or you can gain. Because of that risk, always invest as much as you're willing to lose. Don't take all your retirement and put it in an investment. Don't take your home equity, your home, like this is where your children, your family lives, and put it in an investment, and then you lose everything. Do it safely. Maybe start with a small amount, watch how it goes.
Right.
Is it providing me a return? Do I trust this person? Have you done any research on the people that are talking to you about this investment? Do you know anything about their background? Have you looked to see if they're registered? Also, look at the fine print. How do I exit this investment if it's not working out for me? What if I want my money back? Am I going to be able to get it back? So all of these things are important. And also consult a licensed professional. As we mentioned in our disclaimer, we're not financial advisors. We're just providing security awareness for people to know. But what we would recommend is to talk to someone who is competent in the field, who's done this multiple times, and can provide us the right advice so that we are investing safely and securely.
Correct. I agree with all of this because I can say, okay, I'm not ashamed to say it. I lost some money in crypto, Bitcoin.
We all make mistakes. I mean, we live and learn. That's all I can say.
We live and learn. It's just like the stock market to me. It's new. I mean, it's out there. We got to try it, right? As she said, you invest what you are. Me, as soon as I invest, I'm like, okay, this is not for me anymore. I'll just watch it and see how it goes so I can learn and understand, right? So I did lose some money. That hurts. But
it always hurts. It always hurts. But the pain helps us so that next time we know, oh, I went through this before. This is what I need to look out for.
And recently, I don't know if you've seen, like they have ATM. I guess they call them ATM too, where you can withdraw, I guess, crypto or Bitcoin. I was surprised when I saw that come out, and I'm like, oh, we are moving. So I have to learn about this. That's when I started investing. I'm like, well, I can't stay behind. I have to learn. So yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot. There are thousands of ATMs around the world. They are used in America, but believe it or not, in a lot of countries such as Latin America and Africa, where access to financial institutions is probably limited. And also, it could be a security. I mean, we're probably more aware of it, right? In some countries, you can go to the bank and it means that you are going to lose your life.
Right.
For those people, maybe using cryptocurrency makes a lot more sense. So they do use ATM. And a lot of times people who live in America, who have family members in those countries, will actually use cryptocurrency to send money back home. So there are some benefits why they use them as well.
Oh, okay. That's one of the key concepts, I guess, to make it easy.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I would say is, like, how do laws and regulations impact the security and legitimacy of using cryptocurrency?
Well, cryptocurrency was designed. I mean, remember we talked about the decentralization? So right now, if I have money in a bank account, assuming, one of the big banks, JP Morgan Chase, I have an account there. And most people, I believe, know that each account that you have, right, at each financial institution is secured, right, up until $100,000. So FDIC will secure your funds so that if the bank was to go bankrupt, they will give you back your money. Well, the fact that cryptocurrency is decentralized, right?
Mhm.
It does not have oversight. The Federal Reserve Bank doesn't control it. Unfortunately, that's one of the things that you lose. You do
Mhm.
not have any oversight, meaning that you don't have a lot of security when you have your cryptocurrency. And that's why it's very important to ensure that you are securing your private keys, because there's really no insurance. I know that some exchanges started to offer some level of insurance. So if I use one of them, I know Binance is one of the bigger one, Coinbase is another one. All these companies are starting to offer some level of insurance, but this is just institutional. It's not based on the law. I can think of one or two countries that have adopted cryptocurrency in their legal tender, but it's very slow. The United States is still making research in that space, so we don't have a lot of laws that protect everyone. The only thing that you get protection from, if, for example, you are the victim of a Ponzi scheme and the government decides to um, prosecute these people, you can get some of the money back in the form of restitution, right? So, for example, assuming that a bunch of people decided that they wanted to scheme, a group, or they went into a community and said they were, they have this new crypto, and then the government decided that what, this is a criminal activity. And if there's any money left over, they will distribute it between the victims. I think
Okay.
that's the only repercussions we have at the time, but the laws are slow. So, in that respect, that's why people are still a little cautious about using cryptocurrency, but we have yet to see what regulations come around later.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you. So, one last question, and as I always mention, if you have questions, our viewers, I know it's a great topic. If you have any questions regarding cryptocurrency, security, cybersecurity, we do have our expert on the platform. They will happily answer your questions, right? So, one last question would be, why do small and medium-sized business owners need to know about cryptocurrencies? And what are the pros and cons of transactions involving crypto?
Well, why should small business think about it? One of the things that I mentioned earlier is the fact that there's a possibility. I mean, we don't know what the future holds, but a lot of experts are predicting that cryptocurrency might be a disruptor to the traditional financial system. So if
Definitely.
you are a business owner and you want to be ahead of the game and have an advantage point over your competitors who are not even considering it, that might be your time to at least start educating yourself. Not even, not, I mean, not, we're not saying for people to use it, but at least educate yourself.
Mhm.
Because I would hate for someone to make a decision just based on opinion. And that's when you're making the decision in a vacuum, right? Decisions by business owners who are looking to protect their legacies should be an informed decision. You need to look at the pros, you need to look at the cons. Does it make sense? Am I making this decision based on facts and not the opinion of others? All these factors, I think, are reasons why business owners should educate themselves. We're not telling people to use crypto. That's going to be a personal decision. It's going to be a business decision. But at a minimum, if other business owners are using it, you should at least think about it. Also, the other reason why I think it's important, think about a lot of our children or young adults. They grew up in the digital world.
Yes.
Many of them are just, they do everything using technology.
Yeah.
They use their phones, they're on the computer. Some of them don't even know how to use cash for that matter. Well, guess what? A lot of them will be graduating if they're not even graduating already. And in a 5, 10 years, they are going to have purchasing power. They are going to have spending power. And if you are a business owner who is looking to increase your market share and tap into these young people, Well, guess what? If they are going to adopt cryptocurrency more likely than myself, well, you might want to think about, well, maybe I need to start thinking about using cryptocurrency or taking it as a payment, because I don't want to lose these customers. These are potential customers that I may lose because they will go to my competitor, because my competitor is allowing them to use cryptocurrency. And I'm still using the old traditional financial system. Well, they may say, well, this is not for me. These people are not within my, my world. They want to use a business owner who will accept their payment. And that's one of the reasons why I think business owner, we need to consider it.
Yes.
And then another, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm confirmed.
I was going to say my last point. Many business owners accept credit cards, right? When you accept credit cards, they typically charge processing fee, they charge a setup fee, and that could be up to 4%. I believe PayPal charges up to 4%, if not more. Well, guess what? With cryptocurrency, the fee is so much lower. It's only less than 1%. So that's a huge difference for a business owner who either passes on that cost to their customers. If I wanted to buy something that costs $10,000 and the business owner is going to charge me 4%, that's another $400 on top of that item's cost.
Mhm.
But if all they're going to charge me is 0.5%, for example, that's only $50. Well, guess what? That might be the reason why I go to your competitor,
Right.
because your competitor is offering me a lower cost. So all of these reasons are reasons why we need to consider the pros and the cons of using cryptocurrency. And if we're not using it, what do we need to do to actually get up to date or consider using it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Great information. It's all about evolving with,
Mhm.
with the market, right? Perfect example. I was at a conference last week and I needed to buy something. And a lot of people, not just me, a lot of people wanted to buy something. But guess what? The vendor only accepted cash.
Ooh.
And then
I don't
many
use
of us,
cash.
That's a big
many
no.
of us don't carry cash anymore, So that's that just wanted to throw that in there. It's because they're not evolving and you're leaving a lot on the table,
Absolutely.
you know. Well,
And as I mentioned, even if it's not our generation, but my children will probably use cryptocurrency before I even and when they graduate, well, my daughter will be going to college, she'll graduate, she'll be a potential customer.
Right.
So if we want to tap into all this market share and gain more customers, because that's the only way we're going to survive, right? Our business may be a small business today, but it doesn't have to be a small business forever. And a lot
right.
of times when you have a business, you want to leave a legacy for your children. You don't want to be working forever. So if there's a way for you to make more money, to gain more customers, think about that as a potential um, objective.
Yeah.
And one more thing, people are also using cryptocurrency for investment purposes.
Yes.
So, if you want to, for example, diversify your portfolio, some people have stocks and bonds and a number of different types of investment. But others are thinking, well, maybe I might want to add a little cryptocurrency to my portfolio. That
Mhm.
might be another reason why you also consider cryptocurrency as well.
Yeah, I can see it being using it every day. Talking about the kids, the young generation, like
Mhm.
when they're playing games now, it's all virtual. So
Yes.
they're already like, getting used to it and they teaching
Mhm.
them how to use crypto already.
Absolutely.
You don't see the money, you just use it.
Yeah,
So
actually, I did a presentation a year ago to the Girl Scouts of Atlanta, of America. I think it was the Atlanta chapter. And I was very surprised. It was a bunch of kids that were in elementary and middle school. And these kids, they knew so much about cryptocurrency. And I'm like, you guys are so well versed with cryptocurrency, more so than people my own age. So
Mhm.
think about this generation of children that are growing, right? They already know about cryptocurrency. They know what it's used for. They know a lot of the features. if they are adopting it more quickly than we are, even if we're not going to use crypto today, well, 5 years from now, that might be a strategy for you to think about using it.
Yes, definitely. Look at Cash App.
Yeah.
Cash App, PayPal. We were not using it back in the days. Like, everywhere you go now, oh, I can tip someone using Cash App.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
Zelle.
Like they order, oh, let me order food using Cash
Yes.
App. I have one
Absolutely.
question. I
Mhm,
see Gina, thank you for your question.
mhm.
She's asking, is Bank of America still adopting XRP? I'm not sure who's able to answer this.
I am not sure
Mhm.
about Bank of America, but as I mentioned, there are some banks that are starting to even offer cryptocurrency, just like exchanges like Coinbase or Binance. I know for sure that these companies, that's all they do. They do a lot of crypto exchanges. So if I have cash and I want to get Bitcoin, I can do that. If I have Bitcoin and I want to get Ethereum, that's why they're called exchange, because they allow you to take one type of cryptocurrency and convert it to a different type of currency, right? So it's either fiat currency, which would be US dollar or any type of national currency for a different type of cryptocurrency, or one cryptocurrency for a different one. But I would have to research. I can come back and research that for you. But for now, I know for sure that a lot of the exchanges offer the exchange, but I'm not sure yet about Bank of America and some of the major banks, because they have different requirement and regulations that they have to follow. They are not necessarily as quick to adopt cryptocurrency as an exchange, because the exchange is designed for cryptocurrency conversion. But a bank, they have a different function, and they have a lot of laws and regulation. As we know, banks are highly regulated. So in order for them to start offering a product, they have to go through a lot of um, they have to go through a process of getting authorization. They have to get their board. And Bank of America, I believe, is a public company, so they cannot make decisions without their board approval. So I have to look into it. It's a possibility, but I don't want to answer a question that I don't know the answer. So just give me a minute and I'll take a look and let you know.
Okay, perfect. So with that, I want to thank our viewers for listening. But best of all, I want to thank you, Danie, for teaching us today or bringing awareness to everyone. I learned so much. There's so many things. I'm like, my head is full right now. I'm like, I'm ready to research and I'm ready to start using it. Actually, thank you so much.
It was
So,
a pleasure.
yeah, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add, or Wilson? Is there anything you want to say to conclude this today?
No, this was an excellent session, and thank you, Danie, for joining us. And no, I think this was a great collaboration. Thanks again.
Thank you. It was my pleasure, and I'll be more than happy to come back. Maybe for another subject, maybe for crypto. But I love listening to you guys. I think I am one of the people that listens every Thursday. So I think this is
Thank you.
really important, as someone who's also studying not cryptocurrency, but
Cybersecurity.
cybersecurity. I think that cybersecurity, as you mentioned in one of your posts, is everyone's business, because it doesn't just apply to people who are in one particular industry, whether you are a healthcare professional, a financial advisor, a tax professional, an accounting firm. I think cybersecurity applies to you, and also in our personal lives, right? Because we want to secure our private information. It's important to know about cybersecurity. So thank you for all your sessions and the fact that you bring in awareness to an important subject.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. We appreciate that. And yes, we will definitely have you again. I know you're studying cybersecurity. Next topic, we'll be talking about cybersecurity or something else. And, to our viewers, if there's something specific you'd like to learn about or you'd like to know, we are happy to bring someone, or we can just debate, having a discussion just like today. And as you know, we are Level 3 MD. You can always go visit our website, level3md.com, or you can also call us at 770-648-3399. I am your host, Farah Joseph, and we had Wilson Joseph and Mrs. Danie Sincere with us today. Thank you and enjoy your evening.
Thank you, and have a
Take
good
care.
evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.